Hi students, greetings of the day. I welcome you all for control system lectures. In the previous class, we have discussed Bode plot with a numerical problem. As we know, Bode plot is a frequency domain method which gives the stability of a system by using a gain margin and phase margin through simulograph, right? So Bode plot we can represent using simulograph where we can estimate the stability of a system. Similar to frequency method, Bode plot. Another frequency method we have that is polar plot. We have couple of methods like a polar plot or a Nyquist plot also. We'll be discussing in the future class. But in this class, we are going to discuss what is polar plot. And remember, if you know polar plot thoroughly, then you can understand Nyquist plot because they are related plots. Okay, coming to polar plot. So from our childhood, we'll be listening to we would have heard polar coordinates, right? Cartesian coordinates. From ninth class or 10th class, we'll be having a geometry, right? In geometry, we'll be seeing what is Cartesian coordinates, what is polar coordinates, right? So polar plot is a plot which gives which represents a point or a locus, right? Or a plot in a polar form. That is, it is having a magnitude and a phase, right? Before starting this, I'll just give a small introduction to Cartesian and polar coordinates actually, so that it will be clear when we are plotting polar. All right, consider some plot with x-axis and y-axis, right? So when you can when you will be telling the plot is Cartesian, the point is a Cartesian coordinate. The point represented in Cartesian coordinate. Say suppose you have a point somewhere here, right? So when you want to tell the point in a Cartesian coordinate, we'll be representing this point as a p x comma y. At what distance this point with respect to x-axis and what distance this point with respect to y-axis, right? This point with respect to x-axis and x-axis and y-axis, and that is how we represent in terms of a px comma y. Suppose if it is of 4, 1 2 3 and 4, and in y-axis it is 1 2 and 3, right? So this particular point pxy can be represented as p4 comma 3, right? So same point in terms of a polar coordinates, if you want to represent in terms of a polar coordinates, the same point we need to represent in terms of p of magnitude, right? Magnitude say m comma theta. Theta is angle. At what magnitude does this point located, with what angle it will make with respect to the axis. And one more important point I want to tell you is coordinates, and you will be knowing better. This is called q1, q2, q3, q4 coordinates. What is q1? In q1, both the axes are represented in terms of a positive and positive. Here x-axis will be negative. In q2, x-axis will be negative, y-axis will be positive. In q3, both will be negative. In q4, y-axis is negative, y-axis is positive. In q4, yeah, this is positive, y is positive, x is negative. Here x is positive, y is negative. Yeah. So this way we represent coordinates of a Cartesian coordinates of the plot, right? When you want to represent in terms of a polar plot, we need to know the distance from the origin, the plot distance from the origin, and the angle it will make with respect to the axis. So some will call this as a m comma theta, some may call it as a r comma theta, whatever it is. If it is m, so the distance of this point with the origin is m. If it is r, it is r. Okay. So then what is the angle it will make with respect to origin, right? Or x-axis with respect to origin, that is theta. This is nothing but theta. So when you are representing this uh, to calculate polar coordinates, we need to know magnitude and phase, right? So how to calculate that magnitude and phase? How can we calculate that? Usually magnitude by using the Pythagoras theorem. See, this m is actually uh, by using Pythagoras theorem. Suppose this is a distance of 4. We know this is a distance of 3. By using this one Pythagoras theorem, m square is equal to 3 square plus 4 square. Therefore, m is equal to root of 3 square plus 4 square. 9 plus 16, that equal to root 25, that is 5. So this m is 5. Okay. If you want to know the theta from the trigonometry, from the laws of trigonometry, what we know is here what are the values you have is opposite side and the adjacent side. If you know opposite side and the adjacent side, what is the trigonometric function you can make use of to determine the angle? Tan theta, right? Tan theta, sorry, tan theta. Tan theta is equal to 3 by 4. Opposite by adjacent, 3 by 4. But what you need to know is theta actually. Therefore, theta is equal to tan inverse of 3 by 4. This is how you can compute the magnitude and phase. So this is very important basic things you should know when we proceed for Bode polar plot. Okay. So basically polar plot will be computing magnitude and phase, and by making use of magnitude and phase, we'll be calculating phase crossover frequency and gain crossover frequency. Similar to Bode plot. In Bode plot also we have discussed about this phase crossover frequency, gain crossover frequency, by which we can compute the gain margin and phase margin, which tells us the stability of the system, right? So similar to that, in polar plot also we'll be computing gain crossover frequency and phase crossover frequency, wherein which we get phase margin and gain margin, and therefore if the phase margin and gain margin of the system is positive, then the system is said to be a stable system. Okay, how we can do all these things? We'll start with a numerical problem, and we'll understand how can we actually determine the system stability, right? And actually, before going to a numerical problem, I want to just give the basics of a polar plot actually, right? As we discussed, a polar plot gives the relationship of magnitude and phase in polar coordinates, right? With the frequency varying from 0 to infinity, right? Omega would be varying from 0 to infinity. Same thing we have done in Bode plot also. We'll be varying frequency from 0 to infinity in phase plot, right? If you remember the phase plot of Bode plot, we were actually checking the points at every frequency, corner frequencies, and plotting the Bode. So it just, you can correlate that Bode plot in this polar plot as well. The main point here is we'll be varying the frequency of the transfer function. You'll be given an open loop transfer function. So for that open loop transfer function, you'll be varying the frequency from 0 to infinity, and at every point of the frequency point, what is the angle it is making and what is the magnitude it is coming. Okay. So let's start how to construct. We'll discuss a few points of constructing a polar plot, right? Then we'll go with the numerical problem. So first step, steps to plot Bode. Sorry, polar steps to. plot, polar plot. Okay. So first step is determine the transfer function. You will be given a transfer function. So g of s will be given to you. You need to compute for g of s equal to j omega. You need to substitute s equal to j omega, where in which you can get the transfer function in terms of real and imaginary parts. Right? In first step, you will be given a transfer function. You need to substitute s equal to j omega and write the transfer function in terms of real and imaginary parts. Right? You will get a transfer function in terms of real and imaginary parts. Okay. Once you substitute s equal to j omega, write the polar equation in real and imaginary parts. Then what you have to do is as a second step, you need to substitute omega values. Omega is equal to 0. You need to substitute omega equal to 0 and find magnitude g of j omega and phase g of j omega. At omega equal to 0, you need to compute magnitude plot and phase plot by using the transfer function here, right? Then the next point is you need to compute the same thing at omega is equal to infinity. Same thing should be computed, magnitude and phase. Once you get the magnitude and phase, what is the next step is separate the real and imaginary parts. So there are two methods actually to plot this Bode. I will be explaining both the methods. You can choose whichever the method you feel it is easy to construct it. Okay. So as of the first method, see from here actually till the first two steps for both the methods it will be same. M1 method 1 and method 2. First two steps are common. Okay. Then for method 1, third step will be separate the real and imaginary parts. Real and imaginary parts. Okay. Then once you separate real and imaginary parts, if the imaginary of g of j omega 0, if imaginary part of g of j omega is equal to 0, then you need to find the intersection point of real axis. Find the intersection point at real axis. Intersection point to the real axis. Okay. Next thing is once this is done, then we can take it as a fourth step. If the imaginary, same thing again, like once you separate this, you need to calculate imaginary first. If the imaginary of g of j omega is 0, then find the intersection point at real axis. Similarly, if I think you can merge in this point itself. Okay. If real of g of j omega is equal to 0, find the intersection at imaginary axis. Find the intersection point to imaginary axis. Okay. So based on all the above steps, once you compute this, you will be plotting the polar plot. Last thing is polar plot. And once you plot this polar plot, you need to find phase crossover frequency and gain crossover frequency. So phase crossover frequency is the frequency at which the gain plot, magnitude of g of j omega will be equal to 1. Right? We'll write it down here. Okay, I will write it down. Fourth thing, and now you need to compute the gain margin. Gain margin is equal to gain margin 1 by magnitude g of j omega at phase crossover frequency and phase margin is equal to 180 plus phase at omega gc, that is gain crossover frequency, right? So these are the things you need to keep in mind while plotting polar plot. So next concept is to plot a polar plot for a type 0 system. As we discussed in previous class, what is a type 0 system? Type 0 system is if you have a no poles at origin. See, if you see this expression here, there is no s term alone. 1 plus s plus 1. That means actually s plus 1 by t1. So pole is at minus 1 by t1. Here pole is at minus 1 by t2. Here pole alone is not there. That means s term is not there. So this particular system is referred as type 0 system, right? So for this type 0 system, we need to construct a polar plot. How to do that? As a first step, we need to substitute s equal to j omega. Once you substitute s equal to j omega, what you get is k by 1 plus j omega t1 into 1 plus j omega t2. Now the second step is we need to refer or represent the equation g of s, g of j omega in terms of polar form. So how can we represent in terms of polar form is we need to segregate magnitude and the phase from the above expression. As we discussed earlier, how to represent the magnitude and the phase. We have this particular transfer function. For this particular transfer function, magnitude and phase can be written as g of magnitude means k by, from the expression, k by root of 1 plus omega t1 whole square, not whole square, only 1 square plus omega t1 square. This alone it will come, right? Into 1 plus omega t2 square. For this it will come. So this is nothing but magnitude. And what is the phase? Phase, as we discussed, that is angle minus tan inverse of b by a. What is b by a? A is here 1. Suppose here in this expression 1 plus j omega t1, a is nothing but 1, b is nothing but j omega, right? For j omega, b is nothing but omega t1. Therefore b by a means omega t1 by 1. By 1 is nothing but same omega t1 minus angle phase minus tan inverse of omega t2. Okay, this is how we can segregate magnitude and phase expressions. So consider a magnitude alone now. So what is the next step actually? So this is nothing but a magnitude. Okay, I'll just represent. This is nothing but the g of j omega, and this is magnitude, and this is phase and magnitude. Okay, then by making use of this magnitude and phase expressions, the next step is coordinate at omega is equal to 0. What we need to do in polar plot, as we discussed, we need to check for a different set of frequencies how the plot varies from 0 to infinity. So at 0, what is the magnitude plot? G of j omega will become, at omega is equal to 0, it will become k alone. If you substitute omega is equal to 0 here, 1 will be left. Here if you substitute omega equal to 0, 1 will be left. So k by 1, that is nothing but k. Similarly, for phase, what happens if you substitute omega equal to 0? Tan inverse of 0 is 0, right? Phase I can represent in this way. Phase at omega is equal to 0, or I can write it this way also, g of j omega at omega equal to 0, that is nothing but 0, because you are substituting omega equal to 0 here. Okay, now the next step is coordinates. You need to check it at omega equal to infinity. So it starts at 0 and ends at infinity. So coordinate at omega is equal to infinity, right? So here g of j omega at omega is equal to infinity. If you substitute infinity in the denominator, what happens? Infinity plus 1 is nothing but infinity. So k by infinity, anything by infinity is 0, right? If you substitute anywhere here, whole denominator will become infinity. K by anything by infinity will become 0. Therefore magnitude at omega equal to infinity will be 0. Similarly, phase at infinity, what will be phase at infinity? Tan inverse of infinity is minus 90, right? Minus 90. Tan inverse of again infinity, if you substitute, what will become? Minus 90, irrespective of the t values. Irrespective of the t values, if you substitute omega is equal to infinity, it will be minus 90. Okay, so what happens is what you get here is minus 180 degrees. So when you are starting a plot at 0, the magnitude is k and phase angle is 0. When you end at infinity, the magnitude is 0 and phase angle is minus 180. So to represent this in polar coordinates or polar plot, what we'll do is we'll just draw polar plot here, right? So in polar plot, we need to represent in terms of angles, quadrants in terms of angles. This is nothing but 0 to 90, q1, q2, q3, q4. This is nothing but 0 to 90 in terms of anti-clockwise. This is nothing but 90 to 180. This is nothing but 180 to 270. This is nothing but 270 to 360. When you are going anti-clockwise, so when you are coming in a clockwise, what happens is this will be 0, this will be minus 90. If you are coming in anti-clockwise direction, this will be minus 180 and this will be minus 270. Again this is minus 360 or 0. Okay, when you are coming in clockwise direction. Okay, now you check it when you are starting at omega equal to 0. What is the magnitude? Magnitude is k. So at that particular magnitude, at omega equal to 0, what is the phase? Is 0. Phase is 0, means it will be somewhere in this right side, it will be 0. And you can take, since it is k, you can take any point somewhere here, right? Somewhere here I can take, and I can represent this is the kth distance. The distance from origin is k. is k. So this is nothing but a k. I'll take red, it will be clear. Okay. It is from omega equal to 0, you can represent this way, right? Phase will be 0, magnitude will be k. So it starts at omega equal to 0, means here omega equal to 0, and phase will be 0. So distance is k. When you are increasing omega equal to 0 to infinity, what happens is it will be going towards minus 180 degrees. How? See here, it magnitude is tending to 0 from k. It is kth distance from k. When you are increasing omega equal to infinity, that means you are going towards the incremental way of frequency. At omega equal to infinity, magnitude is going to 0. 0 is nothing but this point at omega equal to infinity. So at this point, what is the phase? Phase is minus 180, right? At this particular point, phase is minus 180. So this is the plot actually. So this simple it is. Okay. So this is minus 180 and this is 0. That's how we can represent initial step of polar plot. So the next thing is we need to separate. Next point is we need to separate real and imaginary parts. So real and imaginary parts. Next step is to separate real and imaginary part. So from if you need if you want to separate real and imaginary part, you need to multiply and divide the denominator of the given transfer function. So what is the given transfer function? G of j omega is equal to k by 1 plus j omega t1 into 1 plus j omega t2 into, so you need to multiply and divide by complex conjugate of the denominator factor. Complex conjugate means if it is plus, it is minus here. So 1 minus j omega t1 into 1 minus j omega t2 divided by 1 minus j omega t1 into 1 minus j omega t2. So you just multiply this right side term with given transfer function. How it will become is k into 1 minus, just multiply these terms, right? Minus omega square t1 t2 minus j into k omega t1 plus t2 divided by a square a plus b into a minus b, a square minus b square. So 1 plus omega square t 1 square into 1 plus omega square t2 square. Okay, this is the way we can represent real and imaginary parts. Okay, separate real and imaginary parts. So now next step is to find the intersection of imaginary axis so that the real part j of j omega should be 0. So to find the intersection point at imaginary axis, what we told is real part of g of j omega should be 0. So next step. for intersection point to imaginary axis, real part of g of j omega should be equal to 0. So from this expression, a real part will make it equated to 0, right? So check what is the real part here. This particular term. These all things are real parts, right? So now what we can do is real of g of j omega is equal to 0. That implies k into 1 minus omega square t1 t2, right? From this omega is equal to plus omega is equal to omega square, you will get it as if you equate it to 0, k will be 0, then omega will be 1 by root of t1 t2, right? If you have a two poles without any pole at origin, two poles located at the left half of S plane, then the frequency at which uh, the frequency at which the polar plot intersect the imaginary axis. What is the frequency? Is omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 plus t2, right? So this is imaginary axis. This imaginary axis, if you compute based on the t1 and t2 values, it would be somewhere, it will intersect here or here, right? The plot will intersect somewhere here or here based on these values t1 and t2. So now we get to know that at certain frequency, that is at omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 into t2, the polar plot will intersect the imaginary axis, right? So at when it is actually intersecting at that particular frequency, what would be the magnitude and phase? What would be the magnitude and the phase values? So to compute magnitude g of j omega at omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 t2, that is equal to what happens is k by root of, so magnitude is nothing but from the above expression magnitude plot, you need to substitute omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 into t2, right? So here you will be having a t1 already, so t1 by t2 into root of 1 plus t2 by t1, right? So if you solve this expression, k into root of t1 t2 divided by t1 plus t2 become this way, right? This is the magnitude when the plot intersects the imaginary axis. The magnitude, if you compute, this would be the magnitude for type 0 system, okay? Remember, this is for the type 0 system. When the polar plot is intersecting the imaginary axis, the magnitude at which it will intersect is k into root of t1 into t2 by t1 plus t2. Similarly, what will be the angle it will make when it is intersecting imaginary axis? When it is intersecting imaginary axis, what will be the angle, phase angle at omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 t2. right? That is nothing but minus tan inverse of T1 by T2 minus tan inverse of T2 by T1. So tan inverse of T1 by T2 for any value of T1, T2, if you substitute some values, random values of T1 and T2, what you would get is minus 90, because this is in the imaginary axis. Okay, minus 90. So this is how we can compute magnitude and phase for intersecting to, for the polar plot intersecting to imaginary axis. Okay, now what we can write here is omega tends to 0 is equal to 0, g of j omega magnitude, that is equal to k. Phase angle is we know this from above expression, above plot we already plotted this. At omega is equal to infinity, g of j omega is equal to 0, and phase angle what we got is minus 180, right? We already plotted this one, so remember this. The next point is, here what we computed is for intersection to imaginary axis. Now intersection, when intersection to imaginary axis, so it is intersecting to imaginary axis, what we got is these three expressions, right? I'll just mark it with red pen. So phase angle is minus 90, magnitude is k into root of T1 into T2, and what is the frequency? Frequency is 1 by this one. This is the particular frequency. Okay, this is the frequency. Okay, these are the three terms which helps us to plot polar plot. Okay, now consider polar coordinate, and from this expression we know at omega equal to 0 we are getting k as a magnitude, and at omega is equal to infinity we are getting 0. Which way it is actually moving, right? See, here it is 0, minus 90, minus 180, minus 270, right? At omega is equal to 0, what you have is this. At omega is equal to infinity, what you have is this one. That means it is starting somewhere here at omega is equal to 0. I'll take it. It is starting somewhere here at omega is equal to 0. Okay, then how it is traveling is at certain value of omega, that is 1 by root of T1 into T2, that is intersection point at imaginary axis. This would be at omega is equal to 1 by root of T1 T2. Okay, at this particular point the magnitude will be magnitude g of j omega is equal to k into root of T1 T2 divided by T1 plus T2, and phase angle is minus 90. Phase angle is 90, right? Minus 90 here. So then when it is tending to infinity, what is happening? Magnitude is becoming 0 and the phase angle is going to minus 180. So it will start somewhere here, it will come to here at what frequency? At omega equal to 1 by root of T1 into T2. Then omega tending to infinity, what happens is it will tend towards minus 180, and it will end up at magnitude of 0. So this is how the plot looks actually for type 0 system. Okay, so coming to the next concept, if you have a pole at origin, one pole at origin, that is a type 1 system, right? Considering a type 1 system here, g of s is equal to k by s into 1 plus s t1 into 1 plus s t2. right? The first step is convert s equal to j omega, substitute s equal to j omega and rewrite the given transfer function. So g of j omega will be k by j omega into 1 plus j omega into t1 into 1 plus j omega into t2. So the next thing is we need to convert the system into polar form. So how can we write into polar form? We need to segregate magnitude and the phase of g of j omega, right? So from here, if you see, you have a three poles, one pole at origin, so that will be omega, and the other pole, that is 1 plus j omega t1, you can write it as 1 plus root of a square plus b square, that is 1 square plus j square omega square, I mean omega square t1 square into the second pole, that is 1 square plus j omega, omega square t2 square. Similarly for phase, right? Phase, what you can write is, if you have a pole at origin, you will get a minus 90, right? Minus 90 if you have a pole at origin, and the poles from here 1 plus j omega t1, how can you write? B by a, minus tan inverse of b by a. B is nothing but omega t1. Similarly for the other pole, right? The next step, so next step is I need to compute the magnitude at omega equal to 0 and omega equal to infinity, right? Magnitude and phase, we have to compute at omega equal to 0 and omega equal to at infinity. Omega equal to 0, that is equal to infinity, right? Substitute omega equal to 0 here in the above expression. What you get is omega into 1 plus omega square t1 square. That means omega will be 0, denominator, if omega is equal to 0, then magnitude will be infinity. Similarly for the phase, g of j omega, omega is equal to 0, what happens is minus 90 degrees, okay? So this is how you get 0 and, I mean omega, at omega equal to 0 you will get magnitude and the phase. Similarly you need to compute magnitude and phase at omega equal to infinity. G of j omega at omega is equal to infinity. So if you substitute omega equal to infinity here, denominator whole thing will be infinity, anything by infinity will be 0, then magnitude will become 0. Similarly the phase, g of j omega at omega is equal to infinity, if you substitute infinity in tan inverse of infinity is nothing but minus 90. So how it will become is minus 90 and another minus 90. Right? Altogether, the phase angle at omega equal to infinity, you get minus 270 degrees. Right? So if you plot this particular magnitude and phase, how the plot looks is, I'll just plot it here. So as we told, plot will start at omega equal to 0 and set omega is equal to infinity. So what is the magnitude it is making is infinity. So till infinity you are having the plot. Infinity is somewhere here. In which coordinate you can make minus 90. Omega equal to 0. At omega equal to 0, what is the angle you are getting is minus 90. So the plot will start somewhere here. Right? The plot will start here. 0, 90, minus 90, minus 180, minus 270. Plot will start somewhere here at infinity, right? Then when omega tending to infinity, plot will become 0. Plot will be 0. And it is making angle 270 actually. Angle 270 it is making means actually here at this point it is making 270, right? So how it looks is this way. But what we need to know is intersecting point. For this particular problem, from here what we can understand is it will be intersecting the real axis, right? So because it started at imaginary axis, definitely it will be intersecting at real axis. So the next step is to separate a real and imaginary axis. To separate real and imaginary axis, what we need to do is we need to take a complex conjugate of the given transfer function. Multiply and divide with the complex conjugate of the given transfer function, right? So when you multiply and divide with the complex conjugates of a given transfer function, how it will become is mm, uh, here expression which I actually solved, like it's just simplification of complex conjugate, just multiplying you will get this expression. Okay, um, just to save some time I actually um, derived and kept it ready. Okay, so what we need to do is just to separate real and imaginary terms. How you get the g of j omega is given in this expression, that is that I can take it as 1. Okay, so intersection here, if you observe the plot, when we plotted here, from where the plot is starting, plot is at omega is equal to 0, the plot will start at this point, at infinity actually, right? And tending to 0, when tending to 0, what is the angle it is making is minus 270, right? So if you want to know where the point at which the plot will be intersecting the real axis, here this particular plot will be intersecting real axis because it is starting at a y axis, right? Minus 90 degrees it is starting, so definitely it will be intersecting the real axis. So as we discussed in the points earlier, when you want to know the intersection point in the real axis, what we need to do is equate the imaginary part to 0, right? Equate the imaginary part to 0. Once you equate the imaginary part to 0, this whole expression imaginary part is this one, this particular part will be equated to 0, right? K into omega square t1 t2 minus 1 will be equated to 0. This particular imaginary part is nothing but this one, right? From 1. So if you compute omega value here, it will be same as the omega which we calculated before, 1 by t1 into t2, right? So this is the expression you get, and now what we need to do is magnitude at this particular point, at this frequency, what is the magnitude and the phase. Magnitude g of j omega at omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 t2. When you substitute this one, what you are getting is, substitute this in the given expression, magnitude expression, that I'll show it there. So magnitude expression is there, right? We just wrote the magnitude expression, this one. This is the magnitude, this is the phase. You need to substitute omega in magnitude expression. Okay. Once you substitute magnitude is equal at omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 into t2, what you may get is 1 by substitute omega here, 1 by root of t1 t2 into root of 1 plus 1 plus t1 by t2 into root of 1 plus t2 by t1 by t1, right? If you solve this, you will get a k into t1 t2 divided by t1 plus t2. So if you remember the previous when we are solving for imaginary line on imaginary axis, right, for intersection of imaginary axis, so we got the same expression. Similarly, when we compute phase angle at omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 t2, substitute same omega in the given expression, that is minus 90 minus tan inverse of t1 by t2 minus tan inverse of t2 by t1. So for phase, what you get here is when you substitute omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 into t2, you we'll get the angle of minus 180 degrees, right? So from these all terms, we can plot the polar plot, and how it looks is consider a polar coordinate 0 minus 90 minus 180 minus 270. As we know, the plot at when omega is equal to 0, the plot is starting at infinity. Plot is starting at infinity, and at omega is equal to this particular thing, omega is equal to 1 by root of t1 into t2, the magnitude will be k into t1 t2 divided by t1 plus t2. So at that particular point, what is the phase angle it is making? So the magnitude here, when at this particular point, at this frequency, at this particular point, the phase angle it is making is minus 180. At this minus 180, what is the magnitude? So here magnitude will be k into t1 t2 divided by t1 plus t2. And when we are increasing omega value, it is tending towards minus 270. This is at omega is equal to infinity. So this is how the polar plot look if you have a pole at origin, one pole at origin, right? So based on the pole location, the plot will vary. So in the next class, we'll see the numerical problem and plot the polar plot and find phase margin, gain margin, and we'll discuss on stability of polar plot using phase margin, gain margin, right? We'll see in the next class how to solve that.